call a bass player with long fingers. Still an idiot.
Hey everybody, it's Friday. Hope you're having an amazing weekend out there in lockdown land. We're going to get right into the questions here, but before we get started, please do me a favor and hit that fucking subscribe button because it really goes an extremely long way to helping me out. This is episode number 251 of SMG Viewers Comments, my weekly roundup of your comments and questions, which I try to answer to the best of my ability. So without further ado, let's skip the bullshit and get right to it.
I once had a guitar player take 192 takes to do an 8-bar phrase. That was almost 11 years ago. It still hurts to think about it to this day.
Eric, honestly, I don't understand how you managed to stay out of prison. How did you not murder the person? 192 fucking takes! Are you fucking kidding? I've got a pretty strict rule here in the studio, is if a musician comes in and can't nail their part in 5 takes, there's the door, go home and practice. 192 takes is absolute fucking insanity. That is somebody who needed to put time in at home, in their bedroom, working on their instrument and working on writing out what particular part they needed to fucking play. I really hope you got paid by the hour. People think I'm an irrational asshole ragging on musicians and whatnot. My ultimate goal, and maybe this works against my own interest, but the goal I have is to save the musician money. I hate seeing them come into the studio, burn up a day on pointless shit, get nowhere, or get just barely somewhere, or in this case, 8 fucking bars in, and then go home and have to do the whole process again. Save some money! Practice!
When people say, ooh, don't go in the pit if you don't want to be seriously injured, go in a safe area. How about we cordon off an arm-swinging imbecile-only area at the side of the room and leave the rest of the floor free for the normal people to have a good time?
Of course, you're talking about my crowd-killing episode, the episode that just keeps on giving. I would be in agreement with that, but I'd be willing to take it one step further. Instead of putting an area off to the side for the arm-swinging, knuckle-dragging idiots, maybe we could just put it out in the back parking lot, next to the dumpster with the rest of the garbage.
Glenn, do you think that it is possible for bands to sound completely unique these days? Bands either all sound the same with SM57s, V30s, drum samples, and VST amps, or they sound like old black metal and death metal bands with purposely terrible production. The songwriting has also become very similar amongst bands by regurgitating what has been done in the past. Has everything already been done within metal to the point where there's no way for new bands to sound unique anymore?
Nicholas, I think that's a fair question. I always look back at the story in the late 1800s or the early 1900s where somebody wanted to close a patent office because he had felt everything had been invented already. And this was before the invention of the movie camera or audio recording or a whole bunch of other stuff, not to mention computers and everything else. So assuming that everything's been done already, no, I just think we need somebody to come along and spark a movement. I mean, it's happened before. It happened with Black Sabbath. It happened with Priest. It had definitely happened with Metallica and the whole thrash movement. The Nirvana thing happened. The new metal thing happened. I think somebody just needs to come along and do something new that's going to ignite the imagination of the teenagers across the world and get them picking up guitars and coming up with their own variation on that particular theme. Pantera was another big one as well. We've seen it happen so many times, I think it's only a matter of time before something like that happens as well. Now, vintage 30s and 57s sound wonderful. That's why so many people go to it, because it's an easy thing to make sound good. It's not to say there aren't other great speakers out there. I'd highly recommend checking out the vintage 30s. And got a chance to demo the new Amperian speakers, and those are absolutely phenomenal for heavy guitar. The Hesu cabinets, Hesu, I don't know if I pronounced that right. Those sound fantastic as well. I've seen Ola playing with those and been getting some absolutely stellar results. There are options out there. The big question a lot of people need to ask themselves is, do they want to stand apart from the crowd? Now, I've said this numerous times on this show. One of the easiest ways to sound like yourself is to get your bandmates harmonizing with each other. That's why you look at bands like Queen and Van Halen had such unique sounds, is because they had those amazing harmonies going on with their various bandmates. And I think that's something that needs to be explored more these days, not less. Now, somebody correct me if I'm wrong. You really can't harmonize growling or screaming metal vocals, that sort of thing, but you can definitely harmonize singing. Everybody's got their own voice. Everybody has their own sound. You just need to use it.
I love Henning's humor.
Get well soon, dude.
Hey, Glenn, I'm in the market for a 2x12 cab. Got one you recommend? I was pointed to the Mesa Boogie 2x12 vertical rectifier.
I did a video last year with Phil McKnight. We were at Thoman's Gearhead University. We checked out a bunch of the different Harley Benton cabs. And, we had a horizontal 2x12, we had a vertical 2x12, 4x12, that sort of thing. And my favorite out of the bunch was the vertical 2x12. And I think it's because the two speakers are kind of offset. It's kind of like 2/3 the size of a 4x12, only with two speakers in it. Had this wonderful thumping resonance to it. And I thought it just sounded wonderful. I really want to get one on the show. I've been talking to the Thoman guys about it. They're a little back ordered, especially with the whole COVID-19 lockdown and everything like that. But hopefully I'm going to get one on the show very soon. The great thing about Thoman is it doesn't cost a lot to import stuff from Germany via Thoman because they've got this amazing shipping program. I think it's like $50 and you get 40 kilos or something like that. So you could literally throw a 2x12 and a whole bunch of other crap in there, a couple microphones, maybe even a guitar into the same box, and it's not going to cost you any more than $40. That's absolutely fucking amazing. Definitely recommend checking that out. You know what? I'll throw a link in the description below and you can check that out. But yeah, that Harley Benton vertical 2x12 is freaking awesome. Now I just took a quick look at the prices. The Mesa Boogie vertical 2x12 cabinet is going for $879 US at Sweetwater, whereas the Harley Benton vertical is going for $227 US. Add an extra $40 in for shipping. You're still gonna save yourself a metric fuck ton of money. And did I mention that the Harley Benton cabinet does come loaded with the aforementioned vintage 30s, which always sound good. Speaking of guitar cabinets, if you want to learn how to mic up cabinets and get the metal tones you've been dreaming of, check out my new lesson, Total Heavy Guitar. We've got a lockdown special on it. We've knocked $100 off the price. It's available now. I've taken 20 years of knowledge of recording amps and distilled it down into 18 parts that cover 4 hours, and it's the most intense, in-depth recording metal guitar lesson you're ever going to come across. It's called Total Heavy Guitar. Links in the description below. Now back to the show.
Dude, Paul is not from Slayer. He's also from Forbidden. It's no wonder why he didn't get paid. And don't ever say Slayer again in any sentence and stick to glam rock.
What's the problem, Fred? I said Slayer in a sentence. Oh no, I said Slayer again. Oh, I did it again. Oh no, what you gonna do about it? Now, Paul Bostaph did replace Dave Lombardo in Slayer. Oh no, I said the Slayer word again. Are you gonna live? But I was incorrect in my assessment because I was only going on the information I had available, which was the Wikipedia page. The drummer on that Queensryche track that I mixed was actually Evan Thomas Batista, who's also a fan of this channel, believe it or not. Dude, all I can say is, wow, killer drumming, and you were an absolute pleasure to mix. Absolutely beautiful feel and restraint in that song. Well done, man. I'd absolutely love to have you on the show at some point. You are a credit to the instrument, my friend.
Yep, Macs are not what they used to be. Why? Because a bunch of cunty elitists have to justify keeping their jobs by implementing useless crap and moronic updates. That said, your vids are not cunty. Keep up the good work, man. You're making the world suck some like bassists.
That sounded like a compliment right up until the end, but okay, thanks. Yeah, I was commenting there the other night on my live stream about just how slow Reaper's visual interface interacts on Mac, and it's kind of shit, to be honest with you. And I think I'm looking to switch DAWs because I need something that works as fast as I do, and I can't go with a massive slowdown like I was getting during that live stream where I would remix that Celtic song. If you guys didn't check it out, I would highly recommend it. Especially all the guys who go, whoa, well, do you do anything else but metal? Yes, watch that video. It was a lot of fun. So my question to you guys is, what DAW do you think I should be checking out? I've already got a copy of Cubase 10. I need to get bumped up to 10.5. I've also got Studio One. What are you guys using? What do you think I should be looking at, especially for the Mac platform?
Glenn! You and Ola have by far the best guitar tones in the universe. Have you ever considered working with Ola on a project? From what I know, Ola has experience on mixing side of things, so if you guys ever did get together in your studio, you'd probably come up with the best guitar tone and would quite possibly displace the existing universe with a tone heaven. P.S. Fuck you.
Wow, Robert, thank you so much. Usually I get the, oh, your tone sucks, this tone shit kind of comments, so it's kind of nice to get a little bit of validation from the viewership for once. It doesn't happen very often, so I am very grateful for that. The truth is, I've been working extremely hard at my guitar tones as of late and trying out some new techniques, especially when I'm playing solo guitars, because a lot of you guys really don't like the mono down the center kind of tone you would get when you're tracking just a straight guitar. into a studio project. So you guys like things a little bit more polished in the demo. So I've been trying to work some of that sound in. And so far, so good. I've been getting quite a bit of compliments lately, especially with that 6 recording interface shootout I did a couple weeks ago. A bunch of you guys were asking, what was the amp sim you were using? Why does that sound so good? So thank you for that. As for the Ola question, I was actually going to go to Europe this summer after TGU. I wanted to go to Sweden and go do some video content with Ola. He's a good friend. I've known him for a very long time, and I've got massive respect for what the guy does. He's a brilliant player and a great YouTube host as well. And just an awesome dude to hang out with, I might add. So massive props to Ola. And I was really looking forward to doing some cool video content with him, but thanks to lockdown, I don't think that's going to happen. You know, TGU's not happening. Summer NAMM's not happening. I don't even think 42 Gear Street's going to happen. So I'm not sure when things are going to go back to normal, but if I get the chance to go to Sweden, I would definitely love to do some video with Ola and have him on the show because I just think he's an awesome dude.
Are there any tricks with recording/mixing lower vocals? I sing at a definite bass range, which seems rare in metal. The only bands I can think of with bass vocals are folk metal that leans more towards the folk side, meaning less distorted guitar getting in the way. Is there a way I could fit my vocals in, or would I have to just be really careful about arranging?
Well, dude, there's a couple of different techniques you can use. I'm going to assume that you're using a cardioid mic, which has a natural bass boost the closer you get to the mic. Like, if I get really close to this mic here, you can hear just how much bass is being added, and then it goes away as I get further back from that mic. That's called the proximity effect. So if you're doing low vocals and you're finding they're kind of muddy, just back off from the microphone a little bit. Experiment around, try a couple different takes, and find where your personal sweet spot is for the piece of music you're using. Because you can't always be straight up on the mic, because that doesn't always work. I've actually had a chance to do some low vocals on some Protocol records, and I've actually sung the really low parts because Marty, the main vocalist from that band, just couldn't quite hit the low notes, whereas I can get pretty damn low if I want, you know, so I can do those type droning notes, that kind of thing. And it's really, they might sound kind of lame by itself, but when you load up, 8, 9, 10, 12 tracks, something like that, suddenly it becomes very cool. That's another thing you can do, is try layering your tracks one on top of each other, especially if you pull back from the mic a little bit. You might really like that effect. Good luck, dude.
Glenn, you've mentioned several times that you have problems with noise at the LA studio, or said that it's very noisy. I have the same problem with RF interference in my house that I can't seem to gate out. How do you compensate or address the noise to keep your recordings clean? Fuck you, and keep up the good work.
Dude, that's a question I was trying to answer for a year and a half at Harmony Studios, and I did find one solution. We did move out of there at the end of February, so that's not going to be a problem anymore. But what I did use was the intelligent noise reducer on the Moore GE300. I hear it's also available on the lower priced GE250. But when it comes to guitar noise, I don't know what it is, that is the best noise reduction solution I have ever come across. It was the only thing that ever actually really worked at Harmony. Absolutely worth its weight in gold. And so once we moved out, the G300 just kind of became redundant. So I wound up actually giving that thing to one of my patrons, who I know is very grateful for that. More than happy to give that away, by the way. So I definitely recommend checking that out, or calling an electrician and having him go at things with the tester and make sure things are grounded properly. Another solution would be, if it's even possible, say if you're in a basement or something like that and you can have easy access to wiring and whatnot, is run a new cable from the box to your outlet, but run it as 4 wires and put in a Hubble outlet, which has an isolated ground. That's what I did here at Spectre. I'd like to thank my dad for that suggestion. He's been an electrician as long as I've been alive, and that was an amazing suggestion because it's an isolated ground and will definitely clean your signal up. But the trick is to make sure that outlet is only one outlet on the circuit and you're not sharing any other outlets anywhere else. It's just one per breaker. That way you don't run into ground loop issues.
Hey, I was looking at building a sub-kick. Is there a minimum or maximum size the speaker needs to be? I've got a shitty old Ibanez 15-watt combo I could rip up to make one.
That'll probably do the trick. You don't need a huge speaker. The original Yamaha sub-kick used the white cone woofers out of the NS10, and those are like 6-inch speakers, I think. I could be wrong. The Solomon Low Freak, which is my absolute favorite for the application, uses a small speaker as well. They don't have to necessarily be very big. I made a custom one myself with a 12-inch speaker. It worked out well, but honestly, I think the little speakers work better because they're easier to get moving. You don't need as much physical air hitting that speaker to get it to do its job. So that is something to consider. But if you've got a tiny little speaker in your 15-watt combo, yeah, hook it up. You just might like what you get.
Regardless of what people say about Ghost, they are a pretty unique band.
I don't know, man. I don't get the hate about Ghost. My wife is really into them. I've listened to them a little bit, and I'm liking what I'm hearing, honestly. I thought Square Hammer was a killer track. You know, very catchy, very sing-along kind of stuff. And I did get a chance to see Ghost live at Heavy Montreal last summer, and I thought they were brilliant live. They were a lot of fun. So props to Ghost. Actually, I'm kind of a fan for new bands. Yeah, not bad at all.
Hey, the amount of times I've been called into the studio because a drummer doesn't know how to fucking tune a snare or a tom, or he doesn't know how to play his part. But hey, I ended up making money from it, LOL.
You found bands that were actually willing to spend money on a session drummer, or B, somebody who to actually tune the drums? Really? I've always found that bands are the last people in the world who would ever want to spend money, period, much less on somebody to replace one of their own band members. But if you've made money on it, man, good for you, brother.
Back in the 80s, I used to play through a trainer stack and the sound was massive. Like the name band cover I sold it and bought a Marshall stack and couldn't tell the difference, except I ended up paying twice as much for the Marshall. I should have kept the trainer and bought another guitar with the extra money I spent. I learned a valuable lesson and now will use what sounds good instead of what's got a brand name.
Yeah, the trainer stuff is seriously excellent. I've still got my 66 trainer here in the studio. I had a master volume knob put on it and I did a video on it called Doom Machine. I find for the whole stoner rock thing that trainer is just absolutely amazing. And the really cool thing is back in the 90s, I don't know about these days, but the old YB1As, in the mid-90s, you could get for maybe $100, $150, that sort of thing. They were not a lot of money. And these are full-blown, hand-wired, point-to-point tube amps. They were 40 watts and the loudest fucking things on earth. They were often called the Canadian Plexi, and with good reason. They sounded a little different from the Marshalls because they had different transformers. And the trainers were using Canadian-built Hammond transformers. Whereas I'm not sure exactly what the Marshalls were using, something built in England, I would imagine. But you are absolutely correct with your assessment that the sound coming out of the speakers matters far more than the brand on the badge.
That ability to tune EQ to the drums is fundamental, and then automatically targeting the overtones is genius. Consistent EQ curves for toms are always a frustration, and this is a game changer. These AIX DSP plugins are super smart and sound excellent. You really do find awesome shit, Glenn.
I have to give props to Aaron Carey at AIX DSP, one of the programmers there. He kind of explained the whole thing about what the problem was and what he wound up spending a lot of time on doing and how that particular drum EQ just shortened the whole workflow process. I've been using the AIX plugins on pretty much all of my mixes this year, and I don't think I've ever come across anything better for the application. If you guys are recording live drums, I'd highly recommend checking them out. Hopefully they've got some demos you can take a look at, but yeah, they're absolutely killer at what they do. Highly recommend it.
About the Best Buy situation, you're kind of forgetting that retail employees are told to do this, and being rude to them will not change the fact that they literally have to do what they do.
I think there's some logic to that statement. I'm sure a lot of the people who work on the shop floors don't want to be dicks to the customers, but are told to be dicks to the customers. Generally, I do try to be as respectful as possible to people working on the floor because I understand it's not an easy job. But if they start harassing me or piss me off or just give me a general fucking attitude that I don't want to have to fucking deal with, they're going to hear it. But fortunately, we've got something called online shopping, which pretty much makes all that shit obsolete. I haven't walked into a Best Buy in about a year, and you know what? I don't miss it one bit. All right, everybody, that's it for this episode. Have a wonderful time out there in lockdown land. Hopefully, we're all going to get through this pretty soon. If you haven't already, please be sure to check out Total Heavy Guitar. Like I said, we've got a $100 discount going on it right now, and you can get it. Follow the link in the description below, and it will make you better at recording your amp. Until next time, please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It goes a long way into helping out the show. And as always, please keep those comments and questions coming. I love hearing from you guys, and join my Discord if you've got the time as well. It's a wonderful community that we all hang out on, and I try and get in there every single day. So until next Friday, stay home, stay safe, wash your fucking hands, and we will all get through this. Take care, everybody.